Welcome back, everybody, to the Rec Room with Brian Rector. And we've definitely been on a hiatus. There's no question about that. We've been about a month away from doing the show. But I got to tell you, I am like fired up to have a home state and Oregon legend in the house today. It's Kenjon Varner, who is going to be speaking with us on football, on family, on faith, and on the different parts to his journey, which include being an Oregon Hall of Famer at the Mighty O. You see it right there on the shirt. Yes, Eugene Stand Up, Track Town, as well as being a three-time Super Bowl champion. Not that that goes unnoticed. It's kind of hard to not mention that one. But as well, Kenyon, being a man of faith is something that I am inspired by in terms of the way that you've used your platform to further the gospel and to connect with folks. And I'm very excited for you and I to be sitting here today. So without further ado, it's episode 39. And let me ask you, welcome to the Rec Room. How are you feeling? How are you doing?
First and foremost, thanks for having me. It's an absolute pleasure to finally be on here with you. We've been in communication
Yes.
for the past couple of months, but we finally got it done. So thanks for being patient with me and allowing me the time and space to be able to get on here with you. But I'm glad to be here, man. I'm super excited to be here. We've had great conversation off of this on the phone and prior to this. So I'm excited to see what we can cook up and, bring to the people.
Yes, yes. I had to tell you, and I know I haven't said this, but it's there's no better time than now to say it. The first time we were on the phone, I was like, I had to pinch myself. I went, did I just have a phone call with Kenyon Barner? Like, what is that, man? So it means the world. And like, one thing that I have noticed just throughout my work and trying to connect with different athletes who come from different backgrounds, play different sports, is that whenever you get to talk to somebody who truly like lets you inside, lets you text, lets you call, man, it doesn't come around very often that happens. And I just want to tell you that testament to you, and I appreciate that we've been able to converse, as you said. It's meant a great deal to me.
Appreciate
And
it. Problem.
most certainly. And I want to begin where it began for you because I want to talk about you and I have a similar background in the way of growing up in California. I had never lived there, but much of my family is from Torrance, went to Redondo High, still lives in Huntington Beach. So
Okay.
I want to talk about with you, like being from Lynwood, California, playing at Notre Dame Prep there in Riverside, like when you think about Southern California, and I know you're still there, which is beautiful, I think, and we'll get to that piece. But growing up there, like, take me back to those moments. What are some of the thoughts that come to you when I mention Lynwood and when we talk about having gone to Notre Dame and being from the Southern California region?
And Lynwood was a birthplace. Los Angeles in general with the Nickerson Garden Housing Projects is where I went home to. Uh, LA birthed me, but the Inland Empire raised me. So,
Mm,
I'm an LA baby, but Moreno Valley specifically is what raised me. So when I think about my upbringing and I think about my childhood, um, I can specifically go to moments and, summers and spending all that out with my grandmother out in LA and my godmom and my cousins. But my childhood was based in Moreno Valley,
mm,
California.
mm-hmm.
So when I think about that, it was an absolute joy. It was a delight. I grew up in a neighborhood where I have five older brothers and one older sister, and the neighborhood was broken up in those age groups. So when I became of age and was going outside with my brothers when I'm 5 or 6 years old, I have about 12, 15 friends that are about 5 to 8 to 10 years old. Then my brothers have their friends in their age group. My closest brothers being 5 and 6 years in age to me, and then so on and so on and so on. So it was a big, huge community of kids where we would shut down the block playing tackle football in the front yard. We would play sideline pop. We would have wrestling matches in the front yard. I could specifically, I was a huge Rock and Cold Stone Steve Austin fan.
Sure.
So, Cold Steve Austin, sorry about that. So we would play the theme music. We would have our entrance and we would go out and wrestle Stone Cold Stunner, the Rock Bottom, the Choke Slam, the Tombstone, and do all of that type stuff. We would have water balloon fights. Man, it was a beautiful time growing up out there in Moreno Valley.
Man, thank you so much for giving me the context for what that situation looks like. Because to me, I'm going, that sounds idyllic. And, especially too, like being at a time where I know you got to college when? 2009?
2008.
Okay, 2008. So
2008.
sure. So what I'm like reminiscing on is the USC Trojan run that had transpired between say 2001
Yeah.
and when you were getting ready to move to Oregon. So like talk to me about that. It was really cool for me to understand that there were siblings that you were balling with, that you were wrestling with. When did the transition to football happen? When did you recognize that this could be something? I could make this into a career. And then secondarily to that is like, were you tuned into the Reggie Bush and the Lendale White and the
Yeah,
movements like this?
I can start at the end of that. I can start right there. I
Sure,
was a huge SC fan growing up. So
sure.
the Mark Williams, the Jerrys, the Ray Malalugas,
That's right.
the Matt Leiners, the Reggie Bushes, the Lindell Whites. I was a huge SC fan. So I can remember the times of them being on the national stage. Reggie Bush making those crazy cutback runs, one's cleat on, the other one off. I can remember Lindell White being a power back, powering through people, still being elusive. I
Mm,
can remember that 1-2 punch being one of the most, if not the most dynamic backfields in all of college football at that particular point in time.
yes.
So that was my upbringing, but I was not a football fan.
Mm,
I was not, I like football, but I wasn't a really big college football fan. I was a San Francisco 49er fan.
I
I
see.
took it to them. I was more of an NFL fan than I was a college fan at the
Sure.
time. So yes, I grew up in those times where Los Angeles was lit on fire by the USC Trojans.
Yes.
Uh, but football for me didn't really become a thing until high school. I would play in the front yard, like as I said earlier, with my brothers. I was small. I might as well have been born prematurely. I was so skinny. I wasn't, but you know what I'm saying? I was a very little kid, very
Sure.
small, frame, very small in stature. So my mom would never let me play tackle football. And my neighbor, Janae Eddington, rest in peace, she passed some years ago. But if
Mm,
it wasn't for Janae Eddington, I would have probably never played a down football. She used to beg my mom because my friends that her children, Keon Eddington, Bobby Eddington, Isaiah Eddington, they played for what was at the time the Moreno Valley 49ers Junior All-American football. So she would beg my mom, let him play. He's fast. He can catch. Let him play. Nope. He's not playing football. He's not playing football. So she
mm,
finally let me play. I think I was about 11 years old. Went out there, had a great season, but she had one rule. If you get hurt, you're never playing football again. It's football. You're gonna have something's gonna go wrong. It may not be anything major, it may be something minor, but nevertheless, it's football. It's the contact sport.
you're
So I
right.
ended up getting hurt. One of the worst things that you could probably have happen to you. I got a concussion. Dude knocked my block off. And so my mom was like, well, that's it. So I finished the season, but I never played ball. I never played football again until my senior year, my freshman year of high school.
Okay,
Uh,
sure.
Played flag football in the eighth grade. And my high school, I started at Calvary Chapel, Moreno Valley. They didn't even have a football team. So they started the football team with our flag football team going into our freshman year of high school. And not
Wow.
only that, we started off in 8-man football. So I didn't even play 11-man football. I played
I see.
8-man. So football for me, I knew I was good. Like playing 8-man, I was an unstoppable force.
Mm,
If you didn't get me at the first level, you weren't gonna catch me. I was gonna blow. I was faster than everybody. I was better than everybody at football. And going into my freshman, sophomore years, I knew I was good, but it was still the question of can this kid play 11-man football? He's doing what he's doing in 8-man. I knew I could. I knew who I was. I believed in my ability. My coaches, Coach Rob Martin, one of my biggest supporters at Calvary Chapel, Reno Valley, used to always tell me, it doesn't matter what you do, you're going to be great. You can play this game. And so going into my junior year, I transferred to Riverside, Notre Dame. And again, there's that question where all the public school kids, they know who I am because they're seeing the numbers that I'm putting up in 8-man.
Sure.
Coaches, the trainers, everybody's talking. They think I'm doing what I'm doing just because it's 8-man. We had a scrimmage, I think it was against Arrowhead Christian, going into my junior year. My first time playing 11-man football since I was 11 years old. Absolutely lit it up. And I think I shocked my own school, my own coaching staff, because they didn't know what I could do because I just got to the school. But football, it was new, but I knew I was special. I knew when I got on that field, playing against these bigger schools, playing public school at a smaller school. My graduating class, I think, was about 75 kids. So it was a small school.
Sure.
We didn't have all the talent in the world, but when I got the ball in my hands, I was dangerous. And so I knew about my junior year. I said, okay, this could really be something. But at the same time, I was still playing basketball. Basketball was my thing. I grew up playing basketball since the age of 4. And so I was always a basketball kid. I never even thought about football. But my junior year, I can really go back before that. I was a crazy kid, right? And I've always been connected to God in a way where God would speak to me and I would be able to say things that eventually would come to be. And I think I was about maybe 12 years old. I was playing AAU basketball for the Reno Valley Tar Heels.
Sure.
No, this was actually before. So I might have been 10. Because this was before I played it down to football. And my dad tells me to get up, get ready for practice. I don't get up. He calls again, hey, you up? No, get up. You got basketball practice. Come home. I'm still not up. I'm in the bed. He said, I told you to get up for practice. What are you doing? I said, I don't want to play basketball no more. I don't want to play. He goes, well, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to the NFL. Now, this was before I ever played a down to football. And my dad told me I was crazy. He went and told my mom. He said, this boy is crazy. He said he's going to the NFL and he's never played football a day in his life. Go talk to your son. But that story, then obviously what transpired and what it turned into, I truly believe that football became a thing going into my junior, senior year. But then once I got to Oregon and, started to perform at that level, I knew football was a real opportunity and a real thing for me.
Sure, absolutely. And I think, I'm so appreciative by the fact that you acknowledged the way that God speaks to you and through you, right? Because so many times I feel that in passing, people view their skills as something that they own and are in control of, right? And it's that's not exactly true. And it's really cool, I think, Kenyon, to hear you say at 10 that you're going, this is a vision that was given to me, right? That's a gift. Yeah. I think I'm so curious to know. I want to go forward a bunch so that we can go backward. How do you view football? Do you view football as a vessel to glorify God? And, if that's part of your equation, when did that start where everything that you were doing on the field was to bring people closer to him and to learn of his character more?
So there's two sides to that. So there's Kenjon while he was playing, and there's Kenjon at the end of his career.
I see.
I've always had a relationship with God. I've always honored and acknowledged God in everything that I did.
Sure.
I know where my blessings come from. He gives you the tools. He gives you the talents, and it's your job to perfect them. It's your job to work on them. It's your job to, to bring them to life. So I know that I did the work, but God planted the seeds in me. And so I always gave thanks to God for everything, going way back to playing NJB basketball throughout high school. I know who blessed me, but my relationship with God didn't really come to what it is today until about 2019, when I'm well into my NFL career.
I see.
But I wasn't a fool. Like I said, I knew where it came from. I knew who it was. I always knew it was never me. It was never, I could take you back to high school. I used to tell my dad, I could literally see the hole before the hole was there when I was in high school. It was the craziest thing. And I used to tell my dad, like, I can see it before it happens. That's not me. That has nothing to
Oh,
do with it. That's a divine given ability from God.
yeah.
So my walk, God started pulling on me in 2019, to where it was kind of undeniable. And so my career and what I started to do started to change, but it was really 2019, then 2020 when I went to Tampa. But in 2021, after the year we won the Super Bowl, my relationship with God changed. And I understood he didn't place me on his platform just for football. I understood that it wasn't about Kenyon, and I had made my platform solely about Kenyon for all those years up until that point.
Hmm.
And once I began to dive into God and really dive into his word and open myself up to him, because he's always there.
Yeah.
He's always there. He never goes anywhere. It's us that walk away from him. And he says in your word, if you seek, you'll find. If you'll knock, you'll find an answer. And so I started to seek him, and I started to find him. I started to knock. He started to open doors. I started to lend my ear to him, and I would hear him. And so it was like 2021, 2020, where I really understood what this platform was for. It was never, I made it about Kenyon. I made it to glorify Kenyon, but this life, we're going to go way deep right here. This world teaches us that it's all about us, to find yourself, to do this. It's all about you. But as a child of God, this life is meant to be lived for, with, and through God. And once I begin to understand, you didn't bless me with this to use it for me. You blessed me with this platform and this ability to draw people closer to you, to share your word, to post your word. To this platform was never supposed to be about Kenyon Barner, the athlete. This platform was absolutely supposed to be about Kenyon Barner, the son of God.
Yes. Yes. And man, oh, you got me going, dude. Here's what I've learned also about working in athletics is that, and this, like, I use athletics because that's our both of our vessels through a different lens, right? But what I have understood, and this is a microcosm of what people are, is that sometimes people are going to act out of accordance with who they say they are.
Mm-hmm.
And that's an interesting kind of ideation to make and realization to have, because what you want, like, imagine how good of a world it would be if what everybody said was true about them, right? And
Right.
I think, like, I'm realizing, and I'm super proud of the fact that I felt as though talking to you would be a great conversation. And I had this image of what you would say and who you would be. And what you just said exactly drove home the point that that's true. So,
Mm-hmm.
man, thank you. Uh, like, additionally, I want to take a minute to recognize the fact that you subtly mentioned Matthew 7:7 for everybody out there. you know, knock and the door will be open to you. That was phenomenal. Like, you got me going because it's very true, right? Is like, gosh dang it, in so many different ways. It's about what can you like what effort can you go to, right? How consistently can you show up, and the Lord will be right there.
Yes, it will.
Talk to me about getting to Eugene, because Eugene, as I look at it from the outside looking in, right, and I've read the stat sheets, I've read their game reports, I know I've watched your games on TV, right? Like, I am able to tell you about how your career went. But what that looks like is that it was a progression, is that
Yeah.
year over year it developed, right?
Yes.
And became what it
Yeah.
was. I mean, at the beginning of your time in Eugene, you weren't rushing for 1,780 yards in a season. It wasn't happening.
No.
Uh, and I don't need to tell you that, right? Uh, Talk to me about moving from putting up numbers to then sitting behind LaMichael and having to not reinvent the wheel, but be patient and to wait that time out. And what did that do for your character moving forward?
So again, I'll start with that end piece. and I'll go back to God, the wait. You know,
Mm,
all the word it talks about the wait, the
mhm.
wait. It's not about instant gratification.
No.
And my dad calls it this. He calls it your faith vows, right? He's when you have to go back, look over your life, and look where God has brought you from and where He's brought you to. You go back and look at the things that have taken place. My entire life, my entire journey in sports has been wait.
Mm,
Nothing's been given to me right away.
mm,
Nothing was about instant gratification. So me getting to Oregon and getting down to Eugene was exactly that. It was a continuation of what God had done so many times. The path and the journey that He's taken me through my entire life
mm,
was, oh, it's not coming right now. You're gonna wait, you're gonna grind, you're gonna work, and in time it will come. And that's exactly what it was. So going into, well, I went to Oregon as a DB first.
okay.
That's what started off on the defensive side of the ball. But even then, it was a wait. I sat behind Walter Thurman. I sat behind Jarius Byrd. I sat behind
Mm.
Patrick Chung. I sat behind TJ Ward,
The
Willie
list.
Glass, Anthony Gilden, Thomas Jackson, Titus Jackson, Brian. But the list goes on and on of guys that I sat behind and had to wait.
Yes.
We're going into my red shirt freshman year. Um, it started to come, the recognition, the acknowledgement. I had to learn, I had to grow. And going into that redshirt freshman season, I was actually starting at nickel before I got moved over to running back. And so now when I get to running back, I understand that there's a pecking order, right? I understand that there's LeGarrette Blount, who was a dog last year, teamed up with Jeremiah Johnson. Then I understand that there's LaMichael James, who came in as a highly touted running back. But
Yes.
not only that, I understand that there's Andre Crenshaw, who had been there, who was a senior, Remine Austin. I understand that there's people here that they say I'm gonna play, but I'm looking at what's in front of me. I gotta earn it. And so as things started to progress through spring ball and going into fall camp, okay, it became a real okay. I'm gonna get some burn. And then obviously everything that took place in the first game of the season with LeGarrette, everything got expedited, everything got pushed up. And me and LaMichael having that time to be able to show what we can do in that Boise State game, and then going forward, it really being just me and him.
Mm,
Uh, in my mind, I wanted to start. I wanted to be and I think anybody in that position, if you're not desiring to be the starter, something's wrong with you. You shouldn't be in the sport. And so when they came to me and said, "Hey, we're going to go with Michael as a starter," I said, "Okay, I don't mind. I'll just work. When my time comes, I'll make something happen." And shout out to Coach Campbell. He used to tell me all the time, and this is something that has stayed with me. It's something that I told my older teammates when I got to the league. It's something I tell younger teammates. Coach Campbell used to always say to me, "Kenjon, don't count your reps. Make your reps count." And that was the biggest piece. If I don't remember anything else, that's what I remember in everything in life. Don't count your reps. Just when your rep comes, make it count. And so that's what it was for me. I knew LaMike was the guy, but when I got my opportunity, I had to make it count. I
mm,
sat behind the greatest running back in Oregon football history. No ifs, ands, or buts about it, and LaMichael James. And so I understood, it's not going to come the way that I wanted. But again, it gave me time to develop. It gave me time to grow. It gave me time to evolve. It gave me time to learn how to play the game at the collegiate level rather than being thrown into the fire and not being able to handle the moment.
mm, mm. Interesting. Interesting. For a bunch of different reasons. And I think, as you were, I'm intrigued, and I want to compare what you just said about waiting and enduring to what happened in October of 2010 for you, which was, as much as I've read about it, it was a perspective changing moment
Yeah.
uh, at Washington State, right?
Mm-hmm.
In that there was, ironically, you mentioned the first thing that happened to you on a football field was a concussion. And there's one that occurs in October of 2010 at Washington State that is looked at as career threatening and a potential long time issue. But what is also interesting to learn, as I did this morning, is that 2 weeks later you were playing again. Uh,
No, 2 weeks
no,
later. No,
No?
no. I missed about a month of season.
Okay.
Uh,
Sure.
I missed UCLA. I
Sure.
missed USC. We had a bye week. And I believe I came back either the following week or the week after that. So I missed about a month of season.
Got it.
Yeah,
Okay. Absolutely. First off, thank you for mentioning.
no problem.
No bad information here. uh, Second off, what did that do for you? What did that moment allow you to see as the trajectory you were on, and the fact that it could be taken away? I mean, one of the themes of God's word is that He gives and takes away.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I would imagine that you are staring down at the opportunity to have what you knew being taken away. And I would love to know how you navigated that time of life and that tribulation.
How I navigated that time, and I can't even tell you because I was so young.
Hmm,
And when you're young, you think you're invincible.
sure,
When you're young, you don't truly understand the severity of life. You don't understand the severity of situations. And that concussion, I understood the severity just because it was simply, as you put, it was career threatening.
sure.
Um, where the conversations that I was having with our team doctor, Dr. Skaggs, was you need to figure out, like, we're going to move on from this. Like, you need to find something else to do. Like, we're going to medically retire you. And so when you hear that as a 20-year-old kid, 21-year-old, whatever, however old I was, um, it's scary. It's it's scary. And again, at the time, this particular play and moment didn't hit me until I believe last year or 2 years ago. I was talking to my brother on his podcast,
Sure.
and he asked me, but I had never really truly taken the time to sit and think about it because in sports, you're compartmentalizing everything. You don't have time to
Hmm,
linger and harp on one thing. You got to move on to the next thing, the next play, the next game plan, the next team. You got to
yep.
continue forward. And so I never had time to sit in it and let it marinate and
Hmm,
digest it. And so during that time, I could tell you it didn't really, even my doctor telling me, like, you got to find something else to do. My response to him was like, what do you mean? There is nothing else to do.
hmm,
I came here to play football. Don't
yeah.
take my career away, but I'm not thinking about the medical aspect of it and everything, the brain trauma, the blood, the broken bone in my neck. I'm not thinking about any of that. I'm young. I'm trying to play football.
Yes.
Be fine. I'm good. Um, and so I always give Dr. Skaggs much love to him and shout out to him for not only listening to me, but listening to my father, listening to my mother, listening to my family. Um, and actually, despite what he's seen and what was on paper, despite what I went through physically, he listened to my heart. He listened to my parents' heart, and he blessed me and allowed me to continue my career. Um, but I didn't navigate that space. And again, as I went back on it,
Hmm,
in the hospital for a week straight. When I get out the hospital, I can't live on my own. I'm actually living. I had to move in with LaMichael.
sure.
Mike was my caretaker for about a week and a half, literally, um, making sure that I was fed, I was good. I couldn't remember anything. I couldn't remember a thing for about a week and a half. Literally, you could come see me and I would forget that I seen you. You could come in a room to tell me 3 words to remember, walk out the room and come right back in, and I wouldn't remember any of the words that you gave me. So it was a scary time. I understand that, but I didn't navigate that really. I just went through it, and I expected to be able to play football again, and thankful to God that I was able to.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. That's right. And I think, like, absolutely thankful is the word that comes to mind for me too. Thinking of that, and what happened, Kenyon, is that when you stayed in this thing and, like, got back to work, which I think is we're talking more as a development of one of the themes that I'm hearing from you, is that it's all about recentering and just getting back to work. That the last couple of years, your career flourished as well.
Yeah.
in 2011, 2012 as well. One of the moments, and I told this to you when we were on the phone the first time, but I had to say it on the live time because it's like that. This is the first time where I went, oh, that's who that is.
Mhm.
Is in the Coliseum, November of 2012,
Mhm.
where somehow, some way, you erupt for 321 and 5 touchdowns, and my dad and I are sitting there crying, going, "What was that? I mean, 62 points? Are you serious?" Uh,
Hey,
it, that's one of the games that sticks out to me. But what are some of the games from being a Duck that stick out to you?
man, even before I played my red shirt, my true freshman year when I was redshirting. The first game that we played, I believe it was against Purdue.
Mm,
Um, the feeling of running down that tunnel at Alton, the sound of the crowd, hearing the motorcycle rev its engine, feeling the vibrations, um, being with the guys, running out, slapping our little border that we have, and bursting out onto that field to the fight song. And literally, you could feel for the first time, I felt like the electricity in the stadium.
mm,
I, I felt the crowd, I felt the noise, I felt the emotions. That was one of the greatest experiences I've ever had in my life to this day. I will
mm.
never forget that moment. I will never forget. Actually, I lied. I think that was against UW. That was against UW. I think we opened the season up with UW.
Whoa.
I believe so. If my memory serves me right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
Um, absolutely. Let me stand corrected. It was Washington because we played at Purdue later on that year.
Got it.
Um,
Got it. Got it. Got it.
it was UW and Jeremiah Johnson had a hell of a game. But anyway, that game stands out to me. Just my first time running down that tunnel and actually experiencing that crowd. That there's the slogan that Austin carries. This is where great teams go to die,
Mm,
and you felt the energy, you felt the raw emotion, and that will forever stand out to me. I'll go to my redshirt freshman year. I'll go to Fright Night against USC. My first time playing against SC at home, blowing them out the water, absolutely annihilating them at home, and having the game that I had in the return game.
sure.
I go to the end of that season playing Oregon State, the winner of the game going to the Rose Bowl. Um, the atmosphere again, it was a cold, cold November night. One of
Mm,
the cold games I ever played in. It was tight. Having the game sealing first down, that stands out. I can go to Stanford, our junior year up there, um, winning that game and the atmosphere in the locker room, our celebration. I can go to Stanford 2010, where we were down 21-3 and running off 43 some odd points straight, I believe it was, and winning that game. The list goes on and on of games. I would be remiss if I did not mention 2009 at Arizona, where again a
mm.
back and forth game, but we're losing late into the fourth quarter. Literally, last drive we had tied it up, sent us into overtime. But the fans coming down out of the fans, the student section coming down before the game is over, ready to storm the field. And us looking over in that right corner, like, are they really coming down and there's still time on the clock? And Jeremiah Masoli and Ed Dixon and Jeff Mail having the games that they had. And I can go on and on about games that evoke emotion that I remember so well.
Yes. And, I appreciate it because that was a perfect segue into my next question. Um, you just reminisced with me for about 2.5 minutes about games that were important to your career and feeling of remembering Oregon, which begs the question, was it hard to leave Oregon? And how much were you thinking about legacy of being a Duck at that time versus something like being elected to the Oregon Hall of Fame and sitting here now today when you are not competing and have a moment to sit here with me and talk about
I never thought about legacy.
it?
Not one time while I was in school did I think about the legacy that I would leave behind. I was
Hmm.
just a kid from Moreno Valley out there playing football,
Yes.
having fun, doing what I love. So I never thought about legacy. Um, I didn't begin to think about the legacy that I left behind or that would be left behind probably to the last 3, 4 years, in all
Okay.
honesty.
Yeah.
Uh, when you're in that space, those aren't thoughts that you're having as an 18, 19-year-old kid. Those
Mm.
aren't where my mind was and what I was thinking about had nothing to do with football. I was thinking about the parties that I was going to go to. I was thinking about playing basketball at the rec. I was thinking
Sure.
about hanging out with my friends. I was thinking about all the things that don't really matter. But legacy was never something that crossed my mind. I just wanted to be the best teammate that I could be at the time. And I wanted to make my family proud. That was it. That's all I was worried about. So I can't say that I ever thought about legacy literally into the last couple of years where, people tell you who you were. You know who you were, but people remind you and tell you who you were. So to know that everything that I intended to set out to do and that I left behind is who I am and what I stand in today, I'm like, okay, I did what I was supposed to do, even without trying to do it. I was who I was. I gave myself. I never pretended to be anything different. Um, I loved on everybody. I took the time with the fan base because they took the time with me. They supported me.
Mm.
Um, my teammates, down to the guys that played, down to the guys that you never seen take a snap. To hear the words from them, um, the legacy that was left behind is one worthwhile.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And, I think too, like one of the things that stuck out to me is that you had achieved your degree in criminology as well.
Shout out to my
Um,
mom.
Most certainly. Most certainly. In the way of the reason why that resonates with me so much is that so many times athletes are looking at what's next. What can I go get next? Should I stick around for the long haul, for the 4 years, right? And I think that was a beautiful thing too. When you did, sorry,
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'll let you finish your question because you might be going into something. Go ahead.
when you did leave and were ready to pursue the NFL, did it occur to you that you could possibly have a 10-year NFL career?
Okay. So I'm gonna come back to that.
Yes.
Um, I was looking forward to what was next, the end of my junior year.
Mm.
And I was absolutely going to leave.
Yes.
And I always give credit where credit is due. I'm always appreciative of Pam Dunnigan and Mark Dunnigan and who they were to me and what they were to me at that time, and really helping me provide an environment and space where I could get to myself and kind of think and contemplate. But
Mm.
my mom, as I said, shout out to my mom.
Yes.
When we were driving up to Oregon, when they were dropping me off in 2008, August of 2008, driving up from Moreno Valley with my brothers and my sister in a car. When we get to the campus, my mom says, "Baby, make me a promise." Okay, yeah. I didn't ask what it was. She just said, "Make me a promise," and I said, "Yeah, I promise." She said, "Okay, promise that you'll get your degree before you ever leave school." I said, "I promise." Fast forward to my junior year, well, I'm thinking about I'm weighing the options of leaving and staying. But I'm out the door.
Yes.
I'm just doing my due diligence and thinking it through. But I'm going. I'm ready to go to the NFL. As I'm going through this process, my mom doesn't say too much. She stays quiet. My mom calls me and she go, "How's it going, baby?" Like, "It's going good." She's like, "How's your mom?" I was like, I'm torn. I love being here, but I feel like I've done all I can do. It's time to go get paid. Time to go get paid to do what I love to do. She said, "Yo, that's good. That's good." She said, "I'm glad you coming to a conclusion." She said, "Do you remember that promise you made to me?" I said, "What promise?" She said, "When we dropped you off at school, I asked you to make a promise." And in my mind, it's replaying in my head. I'm like, "Yeah." She said, "What'd you promise me?" I said that I would get my degree before I left school. She said, "So are you going to leave school?" I said, "No, I'm going back. I'll get my degree." So shout out to my mom, because if not for my mom, I'm not sure that I would have went back and got my degree. Because most guys don't. You get tied up with the busyness of life. You get tied up with situations and everything's happened. You have kids and school is an afterthought. So I'm thankful to my mom that I did make that promise and she
Mm,
held me accountable and made me keep it to not leave before I got my degree. Now, fast forwarding to your question, did I ever envision playing getting 10 years? I absolutely did. And I told you earlier that me and God have always had a crazy relationship, and
yeah.
He's always told things, and I've always said things out of my mouth. Um, Before I touched it down in the NFL, I said I want a 10-year NFL career.
Mm,
And that's exactly what I got, not a down more, not a down less. So yes, that's what I wanted. That's what I said I would do. That's what I said I would get. I didn't know there was times where it was uncertain, where
sure.
where I was a free agent sitting out on the outskirts, but every single time where there was uncertainty, God made a way. And here we
Mm,
are, some years later, and I'm sitting on a 10-year NFL career.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And which, if I'm not mistaken, isn't the average lifespan of the NFL running back like 4 seasons,
If that,
maybe
if
less? Yeah.
yeah, if that.
Yeah. And to sit here at 10, that's something. I mean, and also like let's not forget, it's one of the details we mentioned at the outset of the thing, 3 time Super Bowl champion in addition to that. So I've got to ask, like I'm very fascinated by the fact that your relationship with God was strengthened 2019
Yeah.
at a time where you were just about to be done with the NFL
Yeah.
and being in the league had kind of run its course. So as you look at it now, like what was the most fulfilling part of being an NFL player in
Mm.
your heart? And is that different now than it was, or the way you would have thought about what was most fulfilling at that time?
The most fulfilling thing for me, being an NFL player, was always and will remain being able to do for my family.
Mm,
Um, Being able to take my brothers across the country and give them experiences that we'll never forget. Being able to put money in my parents' pocket,
yes.
being able to take care of everybody, take my entire family out to dinners and pay for dinners. Um, to have my brothers again come and stay in nice hotels and do this, that, and the other, and to bring my friends along. Um, that was the most fulfilling part for me,
Mm,
being able to do for those who had did for me my entire life.
sure.
Outside of that, nothing else really mattered. The relationships and everything that were developed, that's something that's important to me too. But I never got tied up in being an NFL player. It was never something, I played with guys where, oh, I'm so and so. I play for
Mm,
the Atlanta Falcons or whatever team it is. That was never me.
mm,
I gave you who I was. It was never about me. Football was never who I was. It was what I did.
I see.
And so, again, the most fulfilling aspect of football for me was being able to do things for my family.
Mm, yes. And one of the things that I noticed that you did for your family, and I think it was a beautiful moment of like sacrificial and like the unconditional love shared between a child and his or her parents, is that one of the Super Bowl rings, and I would love if you mentioned which one it was, but you had given a Super Bowl ring to your father.
Yeah.
And I need to know, Kenyon, is like having gotten to the mountaintop a few different times and being able to give something so symbolic away for all of the hours and all of the years that it took on everybody's part to help you along, right? And to like turn this thing into a reality. What did that moment mean to you when it happened?
Me being able to give my father that ring meant everything to me.
Mm,
My dad, my family in general are my biggest supporters. But my dad, and growing up where I grew up in, I knew what a real father looked like. I knew what a real father felt like. And a lot of my friends didn't have the dad that I had. A lot of people that I knew didn't have the dad that I had. My
sure.
dad was shocked to everything. My dad never missed a game when I was in high school. My dad took me to every practice. My dad was my biggest supporter and biggest everything when it came to sports.
Mm,
Uh, you know, my mom was busy with working. My dad worked as well, but it always worked out to where God made a way for my dad to be there. Always. My dad was always there. And to know what sports is what connected me and my dad. That became my relationship because I would be on the road every weekend. Again, going back to AAU basketball, traveling to different parts, traveling to Santa Barbara, traveling to Ventura, traveling to Las Vegas, traveling to Florida. Me and my dad, my mom would come here and there, but we would have to go further away. It would be me and my dad. So that's what it was. And then football, both of my parents, again, supportive, always there. Um, but for my dad, who I knew what it meant for him, I knew how proud he was. My
mm,
dad lost a lot of friends behind me playing sports, behind people doubting me and things in that
sure.
nature. So be able to have that moment, to be able to sit on that couch, and again, not knowing if he would ever get there again, not knowing that I would win a third one after that, but being able to give him something that most guys never get the opportunity to hold in their hands themselves, to give him a piece of my career, to give him something again that God worked their whole career for to get. Um, it meant everything to me. It meant absolutely everything to me. To give him that ring.
When I and this is really good because when I thought about this story about you giving that ring to him, what I flashed to in my mind was Tiger and Earl Woods hugging at the Masters in 1997, and then Tiger hugging his son Charlie after the Masters in 2019
Yeah,
in the same position, in
yeah.
on the same walkway, on the 18th green, entering Butler Cabin. You have two sons, Kenyon, of your own, and I must know, uh, talking about how you had a father that many others who you know didn't have, and that's the way that you were raised, and it moved into a position where you could give something such as a ring. Like, what have your driving factors and motivations and I guess appreciations been as you have become a father yourself and are now a number of years into that process?
What motivates me as a father is making my kids better than me.
Mm,
Um, being able to have the life experiences that I had and being able to do the things that I do, um, hit the roadblocks that I hit, being able to live the life that I live on a complete wrong side of life and still come out on the good side of life. Um, my motivation is just to make them better than I was, make them better than who I could ever be. Um, that's my motivation. It has nothing to do with sports. It has nothing to do with any of the accolades that I have. I could care less about that. My motivation is to be half of the father that my father was to me.
mm, mm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm, absolutely. And um, have you gotten to, this is the last place I want to go on this, and then I want to hit a rapid fire segment, and then we'll get up out of here. I so
Sounds good.
appreciate your time. And I know you were mentioning you had to run at I think 45, but I don't want to bring it to that at all.
Yeah.
Uh, like, have you had so far? Have you had any moments with your two sons that were reminiscent or that made you reflect on a moment that you had with your father growing up?
Plenty.
Yeah,
Uh, Primarily with my youngest.
sure.
Uh, Me and my oldest, it's a work in progress. But with my youngest, I have my youngest, I share custody with his mom, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
50% of the time. So I'm with him all the time.
Yes.
Um, but there's multiple things that, as a father, that come up where I think back to my dad and I'm like, okay, this is what you meant. My dad used to always tell me, you don't understand now, but when you have your own, you'll understand. I've had many of those situations to where I'm in a situation, I'm like, God, I sound like my dad. I sound like my dad. I hear my dad's voice as I'm speaking to my kids.
Mm-hmm.
whether it's about school, whether it's about responsibility, whether it's about accountability, whether it's about being a stand-up young man. Um, there's so many different aspects of being a father that if you had your father in your life, you can't help but reflect the moments that you had with him as a child and looking up
Sure.
to him as a father, and now you being in his shoes as a father, now looking down to your child. But yeah, it happens all the time.
Mm, absolutely. Well, Kenyon, thank you so much for sharing everything that you have and for being willing to connect with me.
No
Before
problem.
we go, I would like to do a rapid fire segment with you, if you're okay with that.
I'm absolutely fine with that. Let's go. Let's do it.
This has been going on for 23 episodes now. We started at episode 16 with Cami Miner, who was a volleyball setter at Stanford. And actually, this is funny. You'll appreciate this. Her and her family are from the Southern Cal, stomping grounds. And her dad, Harold, played at SC and was an NBA guy for a couple years
Okay.
before some knee deals and all that. But a little Southern Cal history for you.
Okay.
Uh, when Cami and I got together to do an interview, I was thinking about it because I hadn't considered a name for the thing, and kind of creatively happenstance, I go, "Oh, well, Cami, how did you feel about doing a rapid fire?" And she says yes, and I go, "Whoops." I hadn't thought about it. My bad. So I go, oh, okay. This will be rolling loud rapid fire on the record.
Okay.
So that's what we've been doing ever since.
Okay.
And
I like it.
this will be Rolling Loud Rapid Fire, episode 39, with Brian Rector and today Kenyon Barner. Kenyon, when is your birthday?
April 28th, Team Tourist in the building.
Okay. Do you know anybody who shares the same birthday as you?
I know two people, Marvin Johnson, who was a safety at Oregon, and I just recently met a young lady named Mia who works in the equipment room for the Oregon football team now as well. So we all
Okay.
share that.
Absolutely. Well, now you know three because I'm April 28th as well.
Are you really?
I'm so certain.
You've been holding that ace in the pocket because we didn't talk multiple times and you never said that. I
I
like
know.
what you do. I like what
And
you do.
I literally I'll send you my Oregon ID, man. It's crazy. It's
No, I
wild.
believe you. Listen, I believe you 1,000%. There we go. Okay.
That was pretty sweet. I had to hit you with that. That was cool.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
When you think of the term California love, what comes to mind?
Tupac Shakur,
Uh-huh.
his song California Love. California Love.
That's
That,
right.
that's it. That's all. That's my childhood. I grew up listening to that music. So whenever I hear that term, California Love, that's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Man, absolutely. How does your training and fitness regimen look now compared to when you were training to be an NFL running back? And what are your goals with staying in shape?
So it hasn't changed much.
Sure.
People in the gym ask me, what are you training for? I'm like, nothing. I got two sons. I'm sure at some point in time in life, they're going to want to try me.
Probably so.
I will not be anybody's victim out here.
No.
But in all seriousness, my training has tweaked slightly to
Sure.
where I'm running more than I ever have.
Okay.
So I run, I mean, just last week, I ran 30 miles in a week.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah. Um,
Absolutely.
so I'm turning into, I still got my speed, still fast, but now I'm into this distance world to where now I'm working to start training for my first marathon. That'll either be the end of this year or the top of next year. I am a hybrid athlete. I do high rocks competitions.
Okay.
So I'm into that world now. So now my training more so now, rather than for preparation for games and competition, physical competition, my training now has become more about emotional, physical, and spiritual release and
Mm,
being with myself. When I'm
mm,
out on runs, it's peaceful. I can go
sure.
out there and center myself. I can have the roughest day that you could have. I come home 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. I'm gonna go on a 4 mile run and I'm gonna come back in the house and I'm good. So that's how training is. It changed slightly. I'm running more now than I ever have. I'm in better shape now than I played in my entire tenure playing football.
Man, crazy. crazy. If you, and I've asked this a bunch of times with different sports. I'll preface by saying the craziest one I've ever gotten was uh um who was it? Logan Case, who played volleyball at Western Michigan. She was a MAC Setter of the Year 3 times in a row. Just
Okay.
graduated, and for the Broncos. I asked her, where would you play volleyball if you could play anywhere in the world? And that's like not exclusive to, any gym or anything. That's like, if you want to play on a mountain, tell me. If you
Mm.
want to play, on in an airport, tell me. She said on top of on an aircraft carrier, I'd play volleyball if you could control the wind. And
Yo, that would be
so
pretty good.
so let me ask you, if you could play football anywhere in the world, given
Hmm.
that circumstance of is non-exclusive to a field, where would it be?
Ooh, that's good. That's good. That's good. Um, if I could play football anywhere in the world, where would I play? Ah, that's tough. That's tough. Um, I have no idea. I have
Okay.
no idea. I have no idea. That's a hard one to answer because I'm thinking of so many different places and so many different things. Um, yeah, I don't know. That's good. I don't know. I don't know.
For
I
sure.
don't know.
The good
Yeah.
news about the Rolling Loud rapid fire Kenyon is you don't have to know.
Well, there we go. I don't
The
know.
the
I
thing
don't
I'm
know.
thinking about, I'll tell you this. I had one idea. My idea was using the infield at Hayward and putting a football line on
Ooh, that would be a beautiful place to play.
it. No
That'd
doubt.
be a beautiful place to play, no doubt about it.
No
No.
doubt. Kenyon,
Uh,
yeah, yeah, yeah. You still think?
I am. I'll give you one.
Sure.
If we could level out Mount Kilimanjaro and play at the top of it,
Yes.
I'll play there.
Go. Let's go.
Yeah.
Man, thank you again for your time. I got one more thing for you. If you could give a word of advice to this incoming flock of ducks with the mighty Oregon that we're about to see here in a couple weeks, what would that be?
Man, take advantage of each and every opportunity
Mm,
because tomorrow's not promised. You may think you have a whole nother half. You may think you may have another down, another game, another season. But at the end of the day, this game could be taken away from you just like that. So take advantage and approach each day as if it's your last. Whenever you step on that gridiron field, it's always on the line.
mm,
Play like that would be it.
mm. Man, yes, it's always there. Kenyon, thank you so much. This has been the Rec Room episode 39 with Brian Rector and today Kenyon Barner. Man, it's just been a blessing to get to know your heart and get to talk to you. And I'm excited because, man, I want to hear some updates on how the football season is going when you're out there on the road. So it's going to be really good.
Man, and I want to say this before I go. This has probably been one of the most enjoyable interviews that I've done, and I've done a ton of them. But this is
Man,
probably one of the most enjoyable interviews that I've done. So shout out to you, man.
man, absolutely, absolutely, and thank you. And I hope if nothing else, we can stay in touch a little bit and see what's
You
up
absolutely
going
will.
forward. And
Absolutely will. You got my number. I got yours. Don't be afraid to use it.
my man, thank you, and I'm sure we'll talk very soon.
Will. And before we go, shout out to Abby Larson because that is the connection here. Shout out to Abby because this
Boom.
would not happen if it was not for Abby. I'll be seeing Abby in a couple of weeks out at Ohio State
Yep.
versus. So I'll be sure to bring you up to her. But again, shout out to Abby, who is one of the most dopest human beings on planet Earth. So much love, Abby.
That's right, Miss Larson. Let's go. F-45 training, DePaul, Illinois. Let's go. No, I'm playing around, but seriously, I'd love I'd love to hear, how that goes, and just yeah, it's awesome, man.
Oh my God. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure.